Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, of course, to the $300 minimum 4v4 variant, of course, taking place here on January 18th. We're hopping into our first semifinal of the night. We've got Boys Are Back in Town versus the side of QuestionMark. For the likes of Boys Who Are Back in Town, we've got Parasite, Dashy, Felo, and Nagafen, of course, 3/4 of the Complexity roster, including Dashy from Enigma 6. And for the guys of QuestionMark, we've got Cells, NauX, Evasion, and Swarley. I believe NauX and Swarley both on the Armada roster, as Dashy starting to pick up some kills inside the hardpoint, but both those players were on Armada at NOLA. I believe Cells was on Exo Moon, so just kind of a bit of a background as to where other players were kind of placing at NOLA, where they were kind of, what organizations they were representing, and so on and so forth. But as we kind of dive in here for some hardpoint on St. Marie du Mont, it's obviously important to mention the hills of hardpoint 2 and number 3. It's, at least in my opinion, when it comes down to this match, it's really kind of a focus and the kind of ideal behind make sure that you do rotate for hardpoint 2 and especially hardpoint number 3, of course, being Winery and back parking lot. Winery, of course, getting ready to spawn up here in about 5 seconds. Spawn control currently in favor of Swarley and Co. from the side of QuestionMark, as he does find a kill in the back lines, making the rotation early. And for right now, a lot of early seconds go in the way of QuestionMark. We'll see how Dashy and Co. can try to make that rotation forward, but Swarley continuing to do some damage. I believe on a 4 spree right now, as Dashy tries to dig at that current setup, trying to deplete a few of the players who are currently locking down some positions. From the opposite side, though, a few of his team members trying to do some work coming from lookout post. Evasion, though, holding the line strong, finds one and also finds the second. 3 spree for him, 5 spree for Swarley, 8 total, and they have taken the lead in prime fashion. Still 24 seconds left on Winery. However, when we talk about parking lot, that rotation is so crucial to me on this map. In this entire game of World War II, parking lot is, in my opinion, the most important hill to rotate toward. Because if you do hold spawns correctly, lock down certain positions, you can absolutely bring this game back. So keep in mind the score right now. It's going to be 20 to about 74, 72, so they're going to hop on the hard point. So 20 to 72. If they hold down this hard point, I want to take a look back at that score and see how much of an impact the parking lot really kind of plays in dividend. But it looks like one player does get outside of it. Looks like Nagafen and Dashy now holding inside of the hill. Player in the back lines, though, is going to be Evasion. And Parasite, I believe his teammate actually ends up shooting at him. They're not fully aware of what's going on at the time being. But Swarley, Evasion, both combining for a few kills that they've totally hopped inside of this hill and really kind of taken over things. Is in the back lines as Cells with the bar most likely, maybe even the FG42, but Dashy having no success. Evasion and Co. locking things down pretty successfully as Evasion nearly combines for 2. Trying to do some more damage inside of this hard point. Drops one into Nagafen, has some teammate support to probably take down Parasite here. But Parasite does at least stay alive to drop one. And will get picked off there in the end. So I was talking about the scoreline coming into this hill. How do things really kind of get changed? After parking lot, we see a 34 to 97. And really, it was a massive difference between seeing the guys on Boys Who Are Back in Town rotate early. They only get about 14 seconds. Generally, it's the guys from, it's really the guys from QuestionMark who kind of take back over that hill, don't allow a whole lot of time to go the opposite way until the hill kind of breaks somewhat even, with them still in prime control of the lead for the time being. But look out post, now up, ready to go. Kind of more of a scrappy hill. Definitely not as scrappy as when it comes down to bottom restaurant, but still, you can see quite a few seconds go the way of either team, at least if the kills play out the way that I'm assuming they probably can. But, of course, looking at this group right now of Boys Who Are Back in Town. When we talk about Dashy's performance when it came down to NOLA, I mean, he played incredibly strong. I think he finished off like a 1.27 respawn KD, the 3rd highest, I want to say, at CWL NOLA. And also, I believe, had one of the higher KDs at Dallas as well. So, just overall a very solid player and really provides a lot to a team. It's obviously rumored, kind of brought up whether or not the Enigma 6 roster is sticking together. General kind of put out a tweet earlier today saying that he's even debating on leaving the Enigma 6 organization. As Evasion actually does take out 2 of his own teammates. That's incredibly unfortunate, without question releasing the rest of that hardpoint control to go the opposite way. Now in favor of the Boys Who Are Back in Town. But question being, where does Dashy kind of go? Where does his kind of slaying presence, like which team does he really benefit? I think it's fair to say. Very, very talented player. Of course, a younger guy known for search and destroy. And through the end of Infinite Warfare, joined alongside a Straight Rippin' and really had a really solid impact on the team and played very, very well. But looks like, I believe that was the Fire being brought out. Flamethrower gets brought inside of bottom red. Doesn't really do a whole lot of damage, but still. Score kind of going back and forth. As at least for the time being, it is the guys who are back in town, the boys who are back in town, bringing this one back. As it looks like Nagafen does find a crucial kill. This guy has been on the rotation a number of different times when it comes in a restaurant. As the streak comes in, doesn't do a whole lot of damage. So it looks like they do currently hold the spawns right now. As Felo trying to be the front line, trying to take out as many members as he can, but as they all start to fall in quick succession, the streak also plays favor too, and it looks like off the spawn as well. They're going to keep using those streaks, and I like that play coming in from Cells. He realizes the value of Winery Lot. I think can kind of keep the boys from back in town at bay. They're not going to have any numbers to try to challenge inside of this hill, so at this point, if you're the boys, you're thinking, we got to get a rush in here. If we don't, then we're kind of in an awkward position. And even though the kills come in from Nagafen and Dashy, they've got to be in the rotation. That's exactly what we're seeing Parasite do right now. Let's switch over to Parasite's point of view. Player number 4 making his way through mid-map and trying to watch that cut that could be coming from a number of different places. Watching off the side. Has an opportunity to hop inside of the hill. Realizes they're going to be coming through radius there. Spots down 1, but can't finish off much more than that. Player number 2, Nagafen, is now an opportunity here to try to grab these spawns for his team. We'll see what kind of an impact they can make. Parking lot incredibly important. Last time, it was the boys back in town who made that rotation, but they got broke back pretty easily as the streaks were the main reason for it. And just like that, Cells calls him in and does even more work. And Cells combining for 2. Evasion finds the 3rd, and right now, Cells on a 5 spree could earn streaks again. It's 164 to 99. The lead is starting to get out of hand, and Parasite can't even challenge for spawns. They end up dropping. NauX finds a big kill inside of the hard point. And as they start to kind of funnel in here, coming through Radio Tower, they could have a little bit of success, but to no avail. 22 seconds left to go. It looks the hard point is currently void. No one inside of it, but just like that, Swarley tries to hop in and takes out Felony for it. So last 14 seconds will go the way of QuestionMark, as they've got to be feeling very, very good right now. Back-to-back hard points when it comes to the parking lot. They've held down a majority of the time. As I believe in that last hill, only 11 seconds go the way of boys back in town. As I believe it was 99 to 146 coming in to that last hard point. Of course, like I said, on parking lot, you can obviously see the difference that it really ended up making. 8 seconds off, or 9 seconds off from that 200-second mark. His lookout post is currently being dominated as we kind of take a look at the scorecard in the top right to see the outliers for the match right now. Nagafen 12 and 20 ground. He is on a 4, now make it 5 spree. Trying to turn things back around as he does end up dropping, but trying to bring himself back into this game. As when it came down to his old roster of Next Threat, of course, he joins alongside of the guys on Complexity. Of course, prior to that, we're known as Ground Zero, him and Felony, who of course left from Rise Nation, joined alongside that team. And really on Nagafen's role when it came to the Next Threat, him and Methods were the main players to really be looking out for. I mean, generally when you're looking at that roster, kind of looking at that team on paper, you're saying, well, there's not a whole lot of depth besides the factor of, you know, what can Methods really do, what is Nagafen going to do when it comes down to this year. Has never really been known as a high-level Slayer. And when you have guys like Ricky and Sensor on your team, they're not guys to really put up, you know, big numbers when it comes down to the kill feed. But of course, we've talked about how Methods has an insane year up to this point. Of course, right now, considered to be a top 5 player in all of World War II. But a lot of the games, it was really Nagafen who was playing incredibly well. I think a number of different tournaments that I was casting over Next Threat in. I mean, if it wasn't Methods, it was him going off in a number of different matches and really has a very solid PPSH shot, very aggressive. And if anyone knows him back from Advanced Warfare, he was known for having such a quick reaction with the ASM-1. A guy who wants to be in your face at all times. And he was a guy who, to me, kind of reminds me a lot of once Pristini kind of entered in the scene back in IW, of course, last year. He was kind of Pristini was kind of a guy who reminded me of like a younger Nagafen back from AW. Just the kind of style, a guy who wants to be in your face, doesn't really want to try and hop in the hill as, you know, much. I mean, obviously they can hop inside of the hard point, but generally his role is to try to be in your face, try to annoy you, use that quick reaction time, the solid shot with a submachine gun. That's what we can provide for this team. As it looks like the streaks actually get utilized from Felo. They work out very, very well, kind of trying to limit the players in the back lines. Parasite even shooting through the walls as it gets exploded from his teammate Felony. Streaks are nice, but not when you're taking out your own teammates, but it looks like they're trying to rebound from it. They actually lose the spawns because of such, but they're still taking them out left and right. All 4 players falling in Winery Lot. is going to go the way of boys who are back in town, and they've also taken the lead along with it. 22 very valuable seconds that are being given away right now with their rotation. Very, very important. Smart decision coming in from QuestionMark not to try to challenge for the time, because even if they do, they might even worry about losing those spawns in that back parking lot, kind of back barn area. So as the last 5 seconds tick down, let's actually take a look at the setup right now coming in from the guys on QuestionMark, seeing how they're trying to lock things forward. What they can really do, looks like Evasion linking through lookout post cells instead of mid-map. Solid positioning for them as they're trying to meet these guys, the 50-yard line, trying to make them spawn in the back lines on the opposite side of the map. NauX being greeted with a nade. Evasion drops. Now Swarley does as well. Last player is cells inside of the hard point, but they get broken. Thankfully, they still do have the spawn, so all 4 players have another chance at this hill. They start to dwindle. They start to fall. The numbers begin to decrease, but Swarley is still here. Dropping one. Can't find the second. Dashy is there for the pickup on both of those players, and now you see Evasion trying to do some work. Swarley as well, trying to get inside of that hard point, but they're struggling. They're not having hardly any success whatsoever, and they can win off this hill just like that. Dashy beginning to earn some streaks. He's on a 6 spree. Play right around the corner, now make it 7. Has earned the artillery barrage, but to no avail. It doesn't matter anymore, as this hard point will be closed out 250 to 209. As the Bronze Star, of course, coming in here from Tyler Felo, as he'll finish off with 3, taking out, of course, 75% of the opposition. But, I mean, generally throughout that game, we were really discussing the fact of, you know, QuestionMark. They were in prime advantage of the lead. They made back-to-back shuttle rotations. I mean, I wrote down the score heading into parking lot. Back-to-back rotations. It was 20 to 72, and it was 34 to 97. I mean, that is a really big difference. That was 20. It was a 20 to 72, excuse me, on the first set of rotations, and it was 99 to 146 on the second set of rotations. So coming in a parking lot, you can really see the kind of difference that it really makes when it comes down to a match. But looking at those 2 score lines, I mean, that was a 52-point deficit and around a 60-point deficit in back-to-back sides. So it was a huge 60-second lead that we saw from the guys on QuestionMark, but generally it was in that last rotation to Winery. We see the streaks kind of get utilized. The guys from QuestionMark started to kind of maybe not play as solidly as they previously were. They start to kind of drop numbers. Swarley Evasion start to kind of be limited at certain moments. And like I said, it was Nagafen starting to go on some streaks. When he starts to play better, the team kind of gets that momentum. They overall have a kind of better slang kind of morale about them, and they kind of find themselves in kind of winning these team fights, these 2v2, 3v3 engagements, or whatever it may be. They kind of find themselves in the driver's seat because of it. And like I said, we talked about Nagafen, who was going on a spree. I know it was Felony, who I think ends up taking out Parasite when they were trying to initially hold down Winery. But this is what I talk about when it comes down to St. Marie-du-Mont. It's filled with money hills. I mean, it's the kind of gut of this hardpoint rotation is hardpoint number 2 and hardpoint number 3, Winery and parking lot. Either one you could dominate on. I think parking lot is the most important of the entire game. But Winery, you could absolutely lock down some seconds without question. And I think when it comes down to this map, it really kind of reminds me of Retaliation from Infinite Warfare, for those who kind of remember that. It was a matter of rotating toward Destroy Building and also rotating, I believe, toward Grave. I think Grave was before Destroy Building, if I remember right. And it was a matter of those guys needing to make the rotation all the way through that bridge side and try to make sure they have spawns for it, because you can easily turn the tide of a game. And I want to say it was Mud Dog who actually kind of made a comment about that map. And I think he said it was like, no lead is safe when it comes to that Retaliation hardpoint. I think it's the exact same way when it comes into St. Marie-du-Mont. 2 money hills, I mean, you absolutely spawn the opposite team out on the other side of the map. And when it comes into Winery, when it comes down to parking lot, opposite sides of the map, if you give away those last 20 seconds inside of the hill, it's not a bad thing, to be honest with you. I mean, if you lose a rotation, it's obviously a big deal. But if you're dying inside a Winery with maybe 15, 20 seconds left, I mean, it's not that bad of a task, to be honest with you. I'd probably give away 25 seconds inside a Winery to make that solidified rotation when it came down to parking lot. But generally, of course, talking about the map, it obviously goes the way of the boys, obviously, who are back in town. 3/4 of Cole plus Dashy. They obviously ended up winning. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, a quick commercial break here for the $300 minimum 4v4 variant. Take place here on January 18th. It's myself, Leno, guiding you guys through the action tonight. As I said, we are in the semifinals, and we're looking here at London Dock Search and Destroy for Map 2. It was the guys from Boys who are back in town who won map number 1, 250 to 209 on St. Marie-du-Mont. And now focusing up, I talked about, do we see the FGs really come out in full force on London Docks? They've done exactly that. Dashy finding the first blood, Felo and Parasite finding the second and the third. And just like that, Evasion left all by himself, and he gets picked off. 4 up, 4 down. Boys feeling pretty good after that. As you'll see, Felony kind of fighting for this last kill. I think it's fair to say. I mean, literally, him and his teammate, I believe might have been Dashy, who were kind of fighting for that last kill in the round, both trying to feed toward their streaks. And I'm curious, do we see utility get brought out from the offensive team? It looks like Nade in the back pocket there of Parasite and Dashy. Yeah, I believe Nagafen probably doesn't have anything. Yeah, actually, no, just as the regular class. Also, be keeping in mind, when it comes into Search and Destroy, I was talking about sniper rifles. There was obviously a change when it came out of the Card 98K. The ADS transition time nerf, the Lee infield actually gets the ADS transition time buff. So just the kind of time of ADSing was obviously a huge advantage when it came down to the Card 98K. But Parasite finds himself on the flank, takes out one, tries to go for the chop stun on the second, but no, NauX is there for the pickup. I believe he ends up getting taken out just toward his side, as yes, it will be the guys, the boys who are back in town, winning this round as well. Major props to Parasite for getting that vantage point, as Nagafen had a pretty easy time, about a bullet and a half, to take down NauX there in that situation. But like I said, when it comes down to we see the Lee infield be utilized a little bit more, I know from a lot of people's kind of perspectives, it was a matter of, you know, do you rock the M19 or do you rock the car? I think once the kind of car started to become more utilized, of course, the ADS, a lot quicker than every other sniper rifle. But after the patch, you could see different snipers be kind of used. And I personally am a big fan of the sniper patch, at least at that point of it, just because I feel like it'd be nice to have different sniper rifles be utilized, have it kind of tend toward different play styles. But looks like one player tries to make his way on the flank. Parasite, realizing that he had success with it last time, why not try it again? This time getting cut out, and a big missed shot there coming in from Swarley. Had a big opportunity to try and close that one out, but Nagafen finds a snipe. Just like that, Evasion lasts alive, and I believe Nagafen will make him pay yet again, as his final resting place will go down here inside of Barrel Building. And you hear those sniper shots. Those are new. Those are different. The elite infield coming out here from Naga. Just putting the Springfield to work. I'm a big fan. Big fan of that sniper rifle. Personally, was my go-to out of the gate for World War II. Of course, until everyone realized the Card 98K was the best sniper in a very long time. But looks like offensive strat here for the guys on Boys Back in Town, making their way here toward A. And it looks like Dashy finding the first blood in the back lines. NauX was trying to do some work, but yet again, Parasite being a nuisance, not rocking the FG, instead giving Dashy the freedom to kind of roll with that assault rifle. Now has the ability to kind of make plays on his own, but we know the craftiness of Parasite's mind. We know how of a strong mental player he can be. He knows a lot about the game, and I think honestly with him having some freedom and some search and destroy, it really kind of plays well for the group. But Nagafen misses an opportunity there at a snipe on Evasion. That might have been Swarley actually, but still. Don't want to give him another opportunity because I promise he will not let it slip. Pun intended. But still, coming around the corner, bomb is down. Awkward position to be in, but he's yet to die. So playing for streaks, potentially has a nade still in his back pocket. Definitely should try to utilize that. As coming from the side, spots the beginning of the gun for Swarley, and does take him out, but a quick reaction time coming in from his teammate Evasion, as it will be QuestionMark, who finally get around on the board. And props to Evasion, literally just happens to be waiting around this corner. I think just jumped out of that window, because I don't think that Nagafen actually seen him hop out of that, but solid timing coming in from QuestionMark as they finally are able to chalk one up on the board. But right now, Cells having a hard time. Him and Swarley combined 1 and 8. And when I was able to watch Exoman play, I mean, Cells was a very talented player for that group. A very solid bar player. As he gets taken down yet again, the early rush coming in from Dashy and Felo. The PPSH is doing the work necessary. And Evasion and NauX now find themselves in an awkward spot. But it really kind of comes down to the issue of not finding those first bloods, constantly getting met with those fast shots, and Boys Back in Town are obviously becoming an issue. Dashy finishes off with a hat trick here in this third round, actually taking, I want to say that was Evasion off of streaks. I think he was in like a 4 or 5 kill spree, was about 200 points away from a fighter pilot, so big and a very crucial kill coming into that round. But when you look at the side of the Boys who are back in town, you see their overall consistency. 6, 4, 4, and 5. Very consistent results being shown for them. On the opposite end, you see Evasion having a strong performance, 7 and 4. You see Swarley and Cells, like I said, only a kill between them both. But trying to change that, trying to turn the tide around. As Felo gets picked off from the side. Had he stayed up, him and Nagafen could definitely have a better opportunity at this round. But a lot of hits being made toward that B-bomb site. As Naga says hello to NauX. Really infield back and competitive. And also thought he was going to find that one onto Cells as well. Can never really count out Nagafen in situations like this. As he did have the opportunity. Cells is here for the pickup. So 4 rounds to 2 now. As QuestionMark tried to tear their way back into this. As like I said, they are down 0-1. These are best of 3s. So each map meaning more and more when it comes down to the regular best of 5 competitive rotation. And it looks like we're going to see Evasion and NauX make the push underground. The early stun gets dropped. Dashy makes his way through boxes. Parasite goes for the rush. He gets taken out. Felony, Dashy lingering through mid-cut. They also get taken down, but just like that, Dashy combines for 2. Dashy combines for 3. Cells is there to silence him. But now we find ourselves in a 1 versus 1. A huge round. If you are QuestionMark. As Dashy brute forces his way into this one, and Nagafen will finish it off. Dashy, in the middle of the game, just absolutely takes it over, finds a hat trick to make Nagafen's job a lot easier. Is the Lee infield coming out to play. And it will do the work necessary. As the 5th round found here for the guys who are back in town. Dashy at 9-5. 3 of those kills coming in that last round. Nagafen watching the pre-snipe. Does spawn Evasion, so Parasite should have a pretty easy kill unless Nagafen already finds it, which he does. As per usual, that's that typical Nagafen things. And fairly underground, you can kind of see the difference. I like the pace that we're actually seeing coming from boys who are back in town because they kind of struggle in that last round. Like I said, after Dashy's strong performance, it makes it seem as if that was all planned. But they're really good at kind of slowing their pace down, either going really quick and just a round's notice. You see the slow play coming in from Felo, kind of hanging in the back lines, and Swarley, the last man up, gets spotted out, trying to pick him off, and just like that, he will fall. And as Swarley's body hits the floor, the series comes to a close as boys who are back in town win this series 2-0 and dominate when it comes down to S&D. Only 8 rounds of play. Just like that, QuestionMark. As quick as they entered, they also leave. But if you guys are interested and also want to kind of take a look here, we're actually going to be popping up the bracket to see what's kind of going on as far as this overall tournament is considered. As looks like we do have the boys who are back in town also going to be facing off against the ex-Doom Clan team here in the finals. This is a pretty interesting matchup to watch kind of Ricky along with the Young Guns, essentially. Of course, we got Decimate, we got Bevels, and we got Felo to kind of face off against this solid group there as well on the side of for the boys who are back in town. So it should be a pretty interesting match. Very looking forward to seeing how this final obviously does line out. It will be another best of 3. And of course, after this commercial, we'll be able to have that match up for you guys. But kind of speaking on this series quickly before we obviously do take a commercial break. I mean, generally when it comes down to the S&D, you got to have a lot of momentum. I think it's fair to say they kind of catch fire. I think, Felony starts to have a strong performance. Nagafen starts to have a strong performance. And I think generally, when we talk about these 3 players coming from Complexity, I think they were kind of missing like a different factor from this group because I know Steady was the, kind of 4th on this team. Not really sure what's going on with that, whether Steady just wasn't here for tonight's tournament, whatever it may be. But I think Dashy kind of frees up a lot of different room for this group because they also have like a younger guy, a guy who's also very talented at Search and Destroy. And also is very consistent from what we've seen to the end of Infinite Warfare to the beginning of World War II. I mean, this guy is just very, very consistent. And the reason why we talk about that is, like I said, his consistency when it comes down to respawn slaying. Also, his Search and Destroy knowledge is absolutely there. And I think Dashy could definitely be a player where we're looking at and saying, that was the guy to the end of Infinite Warfare, where it was just like, in a moment's notice, we just knew that he's kind of like the next guy. He's like one of the next kind of high-level pro players who, and maybe a few years, maybe a year sooner or later, could be winning titles for an organization.
When I'm with you, so hold my hand, I'll take you through. I'm higher when I'm with you. You know I'm higher when I'm with you. Said I'm higher when I'm with you. You know I'm higher when I'm with you.